As humans, we tend to latch onto control without even realizing it. When the situation we're in starts to fall apart, we hold on tighter, trying to maintain control over the certain things in our life, causing us to ultimately lose our peace. Instead, sometimes all we need to be doing is letting go and surrendering. What's up? My name is Shelley, and I'm the host from the Heads or Tails podcast. In today's episode, I am going to be chatting about letting go. In this message, I will not only cover letting go of control, but also letting go of friendships, those who have hurt us, and broken dreams. I don't want you to take this episode as giving up. I'm going to try my best to explain it in a way that sometimes when we have done everything in our power to make something work, the next step is to let go and give the reins back to God. We must understand that in this life, we can't control every circumstance. The enemy wants us to believe that we can control everything, our friendships, relationships, work, and even our faith. This is how the enemy successfully steals our peace, because in reality, it's completely impossible for us to control every situation. I wanted to make letting go of control our first point because as soon as we let go of control, we allow what's meant to take place actually happen. So before you even start letting go of a friendship, a person you love, or a broken dream, we need to first let go of the urge to fix, work out, or control that broken situation, especially when that situation was never meant to be fixed by you. It's crazy, and I'm going to be super raw and honest here, but as I was creating this episode of letting go, I thought I had already been through my lesson of letting go of control. But as soon as I started writing this episode, I noticed how stressed and anxious I was becoming. I was starting to spiral at the fact that I'm putting my all into this podcast project and this YouTube channel, and I'm becoming so stressed at the fact that what if it doesn't work? What if this isn't what I'm meant to be doing? And if you follow any of my socials, my TikTok or my Instagram, I was working overtime making reels and TikTok videos trying to promote this podcast when initially God never asked me to do that. What He asked me to do was chat and create the episodes. That's it. As soon as I tried to control where this project was going, I lost my peace and I spiraled and I became so anxious because I took the control from God when He never asked me to do more than what He assigned me to do, which is chat and create. Do what you're assigned to do, nothing more. And you know, because the Holy Spirit will lead and guide you, and He will tell you what you're meant to do. And if you go and venture out trying to do anything more, you will lose your peace. And then I started to doubt the entire thing. Doubt is such a scary thing, and it's not from God, it is from the devil. Doubt is from the devil. I was thinking to myself, how the heck can I teach about letting go of control when I am trying so hard to control the direction and outcome of something God already had control over? So I initially had a whole section of what I wrote about control, but because control reared its ugly head back into my life, I didn't really feel like I could teach on control, as that is something I'm working through right now. I guess the lesson in letting go of control is never do more than what you're meant to do. If God asks you to do 3 things, do those 3 things. And if you go out of doing those 3 things, you will lose your peace, and that is when you try to grip on to the situation and you try to make it work, and you will face doubt, fear, and everything. Stick to what God calls you to do, nothing more. He will do the rest. Friendships. Letting go of a friendship can be incredibly challenging, sad, and difficult, especially when that friend has played a significant part in your life. When is it necessary to let go of a friendship? I've recently been faced with that dilemma, and it's never easy to determine whether letting go is the right decision. Let me outline some points where a friendship may have just run its course. If you feel like spending time with that friend feels forced or makes you feel uneasy and anxious, it might be time to reevaluate that relationship. Does being around them drain your social battery? Do they fail to celebrate your successes and milestones? Or vice versa? Perhaps you're not genuinely happy for their achievements. As Steve Harvey said in a Let Go YouTube video that I love, he states, people come into your life for a reason or a season, and it is important to know when that season is over. When you sense that that friendship may have reached its natural end and things no longer feel right, it's important to recognize that you can still love someone while letting them go. Personally, when I recently had to let go of a friendship, it wasn't out of hate or resentment. It was more out of the fact that our life paths were no longer aligned. And holding on to the friendship was causing more pain than moving on with the friendship. If you find many of the signs I mentioned earlier are present in your friendship, it might be time to step back and walk away. If a friendship with a particular person is taking a toll on your mental well-being, remember that you have every right to gracefully end that relationship. Letting go won't be easy, and you never know if that person might come back into your life later. You might even be able to rekindle, and the friendship might be better than it ever was. But taking that break is important, especially if you're feeling that those points of they give you anxiety, your mental well-being is being corrupted by the friendship, or any of those points I listed. The person who walked away. This point is about letting go of someone you love or someone who hurt you deeply. I feel like so many of us will relate to this one because I'm sure most of us have been through heartbreak, a breakup, or losing someone you never wanted to lose. If you haven't, count yourself lucky. I do want to make clear that this point is about letting go of someone who no longer wants you or has chosen to walk out your life. It's not for people who are in a relationship and they've had one fight and I'm like, let go of them. No. If someone chose to walk out your life prematurely and you weren't ready for them to leave, it can leave us with deep wounds to our self-confidence, and even worse, it leaves us with a shattered heart. You're not just dealing with the loss of that person, but you are also faced with the big question mark of why wasn't I good enough? What could have I done better? And an internal war starts within you as you face the rejection and self-insecurity as well as the heartbreak. It's terrible. It's the worst feeling. Anyone who's been through a heartbreak would understand. You are absolutely allowed to go through that heartbreak, and you're allowed to give yourself time to heal. But don't get stuck in that place of grief and loss, because if you allow it to, grief will overstay its welcome, and it may even start to lead to a deeper depressive state. There will come a time where you have to let go, and you have to choose and remind yourself every single day to keep letting go. It won't be a one-off, okay, I let you go, get out of my life, I'm moving on. It may have to be a constant battle of choosing every day, let them go. What helped me let go was some of these sayings, like I said, from Steve Harvey. If you're going through a breakup and you are trying to let go of someone, the let go video from Steve Harvey is incredible. I swear by it. And some of the quotes he said were, what's meant for you will never pass you by. What has your name on will never go to someone else. If that person was meant to stay, there was no way they could leave. If you prayed and asked God to bring you a soulmate and a forever lover and a best friend, and then your partner walks away from the relationship, then they were never your soulmate. And instead of seeing it as, why did he leave? What was wrong with me? See it as an answered prayer. God closed that door, and no man or human can close or open doors in your life. And no man has the power to change the course of your life unless you allow him to. Change the narrative. Start believing and declaring that you are protected by God, and he'll never remove a person from your life who is meant to be in it. So start letting go of that person and stop trying to bring a relationship to life when it's meant to remain dead. bury it and put a gravestone on it and engrave it, RIP loser. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, it's meant to be a Christian podcast. How about say, I love you, I forgive you, and I let you go, you feral man. That works. You gotta love some humor. You can be a little bit mean sometimes when you're hurting, but then we gotta let go and forgive. Anyways, next point is broken dream. I left letting go of a broken dream for last because I personally think it hurts the most and it's harder to let go of. I think because dreams are things that you work so hard for, or it's a dream we've had since we're little, and the dream can become your entire identity. It's all you think about and it's all you work towards. Letting go of a broken dream is the hardest thing to let go of because it may have been a dream you have believed since you were a child, like I said, or you gave up your entire life to fulfill it. When it crumbles, you may even feel a loss of identity because it was something you were living and working so hard towards. Maybe you've been waiting for a dream to happen and you've been waiting so long that it feels like it's not ever going to happen. And essentially now it's become a broken, dead dream. But what if that dream is still in the process? And the initial dream you were working towards wasn't the end goal. Maybe God had something better for you. Joseph's dream that God put in his heart when he was only a teen came into fulfillment roughly 22 years later. 13 of those years Joseph spent as a slave or in prison. Sometimes we don't know exactly what God is doing in our lives or what plan he has for us. And if you're dealing with a loss of a broken dream or a hope-deferred dream, I just want to encourage you and say sometimes letting go and surrendering it to the one who is in control is sometimes the only way to finding peace and moving forward. Personally, I've been in a period of waiting for a dream for what feels like far too long. And if I'm honest, I find myself getting frustrated with God and upset. I'm guilty to say it, but that's how I feel. And I start to see the dream he placed in my heart as a tease or something that will just never happen. But something I try to remember is this verse, and it's Job 11:16. You will forget your misery. It will be like water flowing away. That verse brings so much comfort because it reminds me that we will forget all these hard times. And those hard times won't be wasted. God will restore the time that you feel was wasted. I'm so humbled to remember the others in the Bible, like Sarah and Abraham, who waited until she was 90 till she had the promised child Isaac. Or the Israelites who waited in the wilderness for 40 years. If you're suffering from a broken dream or a delay and you've done everything in your power to make it happen and work, maybe God is asking you now to fully surrender and let go of what you're holding on to so tight. This photo of Jesus and this little girl can represent so many different things in our life. It definitely does for me. And it's a photo that I will never forget and I'll always look at for encouragement and to remember to trust God. This girl is holding on to a little pathetic teddy bear and she's having the conversation with God. And she doesn't want to let go of this little teddy bear because she doesn't want to lose what she has. But what she doesn't realize is what Jesus actually has for her is so much bigger and better. And that little teddy bear that she's holding almost represents my dream of becoming a TV presenter and a music journalist. And that's me holding on to that teddy bear. I don't want to let go. But what I don't realize is what Jesus is actually holding for me, and the dream that he has for me is so much greater and better. And even though I don't see it right now and I feel like it's delayed and it's not happening, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have it. It's in his hands and he's in control of it. All I need to do now is let go of what I'm holding on to and allow myself to make room for God to come in and do something bigger and better. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Let Go. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you and hear your story of where you've had to let go. Message me on the Heads or Tails podcast on Instagram. Next week's episode and video is going to be a bit different. It's going to be a bit more interactive because we are going to work together and start brainstorming and figuring out your gifts and what gap God intended you to fill in this world. Also, if you could please share, like, subscribe on this video. It helps me out so much, and it encourages me to keep doing what I feel God is calling me to do. Also, you can listen to my podcast. It is now live on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio for my Kiwi listeners, and Spotify. Thank you so much. Catch you later.